So do we have to believe in Jesus as the Son of God in order to be a Christian or to be legit, a Jesus follower? That is a complex question because you first need to ask the question, what do you mean by Son of God? What does that mean? It's interesting to note that Jesus never called himself Son of God, but referred to himself as the Son of Man, which is very different. You see some Old Testament prophets referring to themselves as the Son of Man. It's as if Jesus is saying, I'm every man, when he's talking about this. Does that mean that there wasn't anything unique about Jesus? That's not what I'm saying at all. Jesus was looked at and referred to by his followers as the Christ or the Messiah. Those two words are the exact same, just Messiah is Jewish, Hebrew, and Christ is the Greek word for the same thing. And both words mean the same thing, which is anointed. So do I believe that Jesus was anointed by the very Spirit of God and was unique in the world? Yeah, yes, there's a whole lot this guy did and said that requires that anointing to happen. And he had a whole lot of people believing in him because they could clearly see the anointing that was in his life. But there is a tension here that we got to hold and we have to appreciate. And I would guess that this is why a lot of Jewish people can't quite get on board with calling Jesus Son of God in the way that we mean it. Because in the Christian tradition, when people say Son of God, they think that in terms of this is a God-man walking around. Like he is like 100% God, 100% human somehow walking around. There's another word for that, and that's demigod. And that ties into an ancient understanding of theology that actually was completely incongruent with Jewish teaching, which is probably why Jewish people have a very difficult time embracing that aspect of Jesus that is promoted so heavily in Christian circles. The idea of a demigod did not exist in Jewish history. This idea of God coming down and impregnating a woman, and so you get this God-type person. It doesn't fit. And I just want to tell you, this is unorthodox. I get it. I'm okay with it. I've worked it out. I can help you work it out. I don't think we have to see Jesus as a demigod in order to appreciate Jesus as anointed. And I don't think it weakens who he is or what he did or what he still does in our world today. In my opinion, from my experience, it strengthens the message. It strengthens my relationship with Christ because I can see it differently. It's like I can approach it more because of that. It doesn't take anything away from Jesus. For some, that takes everything away. I get that. And if you're not comfortable with that, it's not like I talk about this all the time. But that's my undercurrent. And the good news for you is if that just sounds completely heretical and you can't ride with that, just such good news for you, because almost every church in America is going to speak your language. And I get it. That's where it is. I understand where that came from. I understand why it's still prevalent today. That's just not the only way to look at it. And it doesn't necessarily take away from my devotion to God, devotion to Christ. My willingness to follow in the footsteps of Jesus in no way takes away from what happened on the cross and all the multiple meanings that has. Actually broadens it when you don't limit it to a final sacrifice kind of a thinking. I can help you understand that more, be happy to. But if this just sounds nuts to you, save yourself some time. Keep going to whatever other church speaks the traditional Orthodox language. You'll be happier. But if you've always wondered, and you've wondered if there's a different way to think about that still qualifies as Christian, come on down and we'll help you figure it out. Hope this helps.